an 1893 Victorian.
Okay.
We were looking for a different house. Our other house, we kind of felt like we outgrew, and we drove up and down the streets of Ogden looking for what we thought would be our dream house. And
stalking, really.
yeah, and this one wasn't even for sale. We're like, that would be a really nice house to own, and it was for sale like a year.
6 months before.
Yeah, so we knew the guy wanted out, and we had put in a couple offers on different houses, and nothing had got accepted. So we came and knocked on his door and offered him some money for it, and he actually turned us down. And well, he said we offered him a price, and he said double it. And and the house was in pretty rough shape, so we're like, no, I guess it's not going to work out.
What was his problem?
I think he was into it a lot.
He was upside down in his mortgage.
Oh, okay.
So, well, like 4 months later, I happened to see in the paper that it foreclosed and that it was going to be at an auction. So we knew we didn't have the cash to buy it at an auction, but we knew the city was, trying to redo this neighborhood. So we approached the city about buying it at auction for us and then buying it from the city.
So
wow.
we knew that the city already owned like a second mortgage on the home from the previous owner, because they were trying to invest in the neighborhood and they would finance some of these small second mortgages. So we knew that, and so we approached the development department of the city and asked them if they would go to the auction and buy the house, because they were already invested in it.
Wow.
So they went and bought it at foreclosure and turned around and sold it to us for a subsidized price with the agreement that we would put a certain amount into it. And we all kind of sat down and agreed what the scope of work needed to be.
Wow.
I guess what you could say is we didn't take it down to the studs, but
It was rough.
it was in really rough shape.
There was probably well over 100 pounds of like pigeon and raccoon poop in the attic from just like open eaves. And
Ooh.
Yeah.
these floors were just like the old fur that was just trashed, holes to the basement in it.
The stairs, the back stairs, you kind of felt like you were going to fall through when you walked up them. The kitchen, it had a remodel in the 70s and a remodel
Like a
in
cheap
the
remodel,
cheap remodel in the 90s, and a lot of the work just never got finished. And so I think the previous owner came in and tried to correct some of the work that was done in the 70s. And what we did was new electrical, new plumbing, about 50% new HVAC.
Painted the entire outside of the house.
Painted the entire outside of the house, painted the entire inside of the house, refinished the floors upstairs, laid new floors on the first level, did tile work in the bathrooms and kitchen, and removed a bathroom and took out a wall and expanded the kitchen. And then
Insulated the attic.
insulated the attic. It doesn't sound like a lot when we're saying it right now.
No, it's a lot.
Rebuilt 3 porches.
Yeah. So we had a lot of good specialist contractors, and then we kind of
Yeah, the windows got rehung.
windows were rehung and made the pulley systems were made functional again.
So, had you always liked old houses?
I think so. I always didn't like new houses, but I just didn't want to end up in like the subdivision house that's so common in Utah, because there's just no character, and it feels wasteful to keep building new when there's great houses.
Yeah. I grew up in a little house built in probably 1911, and it's just always falling apart, and my dad was always having to do projects on the weekends, and one weekend would turn into 200 weekends, but I still like the charm of them. I like I just like the ornate detail, especially of Victorian era homes. And the first house we bought was a 1928 bungalow, and we redid that one in a lot of ways, minorly. We worked on it for 3 months, and then we moved in. But then after we lived there, we're like, we're gonna buy a new home or an old house again. There's no closets, old systems, there inefficient, and then. But then we decided we're not interested in mid-century modern architecture at all, and there's a lot of that in Ogden also. And we looked at Foursquare style houses, and then we just really think the Victorians were the ones we were interested in the most.